Thanks. Let me first welcome all of you to the 2024 PACE National Scholastic Championship. I am your moderator this round, Mike Bentley. In this room we have Detroit's Catholic Central C and Stevenson A. DCC and Stevenson, are you both ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me just double check that we have it all clear to go. Let me also mention that this round is sponsored by Vass Clark, who would like to say, if you like alternate history, check out my timeline of restoration of the Great Ming on alternatehistory.com. And I think we're ready to go. One more message. I just want to let everyone know that, of course, that PACE, that we are a nonprofit organization that encourages the growth of high-quality quiz bowl throughout the country by supporting outreach efforts, community resources like the Just Quiz Bowl forums, and the standard rule set, and more. So it's our pleasure to present this tournament, and hope that many of you are able to get involved in PACE after you graduate. So without any further ado, let's start with toss of one. This figure's Etruscan counterparts, often depicted with Vanth, swing hammers at Laris Polenis' head in a sarcophagus relief. Deadly vapors spill from this figure's sacred...
Genus?
Sacred cave of Ornum. Seneca relates how Hercules overpowered this figure with his own pole. In The Frogs, the slave Xanthias is forced to run around a lake by this figure, who discusses frog swan songs with Dionysus. During his catabasis, Aeneas pacified this child of Erebus and Nyx with a golden bow. An opal placed in the mouth rather than over the eyes is given to this psychopomp of the Acheron, who forces the unburied to wait 100 years before receiving transport. For 10 points, name this ferryman of the Styx who guides souls to Hades.
Karen.
That's right. Stats, an important part of this tournament. All right, DCC, your bonus. A Quranic prohibition on eating from dishes of gold or silver made this good popular in the Islamic world. For 10 points each, name this luxury good produced in Jiangdujian. This good was admired in the West for its ability to serve hot beverages, where it is often referred to just as China.
Porcelain.
That's right. Blue and white Jingdezhen porcelain relied on this element, which was mined in Kashan. Siddharth Kara's book about the red form of this element details dangerous artisanal mining practices in the DRC.
Copper?
It's cobalt. This porcelain-set monarch traded 600 Saxon dragoons for 151 empire vases with William I of Prussia. Meissen porcelain was developed under this monarch. Answer? So answer, it's Augustus the Strong. That is 10 points. Toss of 2. The value violet is added to this theory in the Patti-Salam model. This theory cannot include the decay products of any R-parity conserving theories LSP, which is a WIMP in the minimal supersymmetric version of this theory. Unobserved heavy neutrinos are implied by extending this theory with type 1 seesaw mechanism. This theory's gauge interactions are explained by grand unified theories. This theory's failure to explain gravitation could be resolved by the discovery of the graviton. Columns represent 3 generations of this theory in its representation as a 4x4 grid next to the Higgs boson. 3 of the fundamental forces are explained by, for 10 points, what theory underlying particle physics?
Standard model.
Say it again?
Standard model.
Standard model is correct. Nice. Bonus for Stevenson. A character created by this author constantly uses the swear word demmed and escapes by giving Shalvillion pepper to sniff instead of snuff. For 10 points each, name this Hungarian British baroness. This author created Sir Blankley, who pretends to be an idiotic dandy to conceal his secret identity as the Scarlet Pimpernel. Answer?
Thompson.
This is Baroness Artsy. Sir Blankley has this first name. This was the first name of an author who wrote "Ye are many, they are few" in his poem decrying the Peterloo Massacre, The Mask of Anarchy.
Percy. Go with Percy.
That's right. The Scarlet Pimpernel set during this conflict. In A Tale of Two Cities, Sidney Carton is guillotined during this conflict.
French Revolution.
That's right, for 20. Toss up. Specific term required. One of these people died while leading an ill-fated expedition whose few survivors included the enslaved man Estevanico. One of these people, known as the Madman, styled himself the Wrath of God, Prince of Freedom. Several of these people funded monuments in their hometowns across Extremadura. One of these people wrote a true history that recounts how another of them wept during a 1520 event, which translates to the Sad Night. A woman who translated...
Conquistador.
That's right, for 10. Bonus for DCC. This person was the subject of a 2019 documentary subtitled Yogi, Guru, Predator. For 10 points each, give the first or last name of this yoga guru, whose namesake, asana-centric variant of hot yoga, declined in popularity after he fled the US to escape sexual abuse charges.
Chinmayananda?
This is Bikram Chaudhuri. Bikram Yoga rejected the traditional hatha emphasis on pranayama, in which the practitioner focuses on this physical action. Hatha tradition teaches ways to perform this action through the nose or mouth.
Breathing.
That's right. Bikram's Beverly Hills yoga studio attracted this athlete who wrote the book Mycroft and Sherlock and long struggled to get reporters to stop calling him Boo Alcindor.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
That's right, for 20. Toss 4. Richard Katz believed that this psychologist failed to cite time studying the giving ceremony of the Blackfoot. The psychologist imagined a culturally healthy utopia called Eupsychia in a Theory Z outlining the ideal organization of companies. A cognitive bias of repeatedly using the same tool for different problems is called this psychologist's hammer. A group of people studied by this psychologist have being values that define their meta-motivations and may have peak experiences.
Maslow.
That's right, for 10. Bonus for DCC. A successful 2022 clinical trial that enrolled just 5 patients with this disease sparked efforts to treat it using CAR T cells. For 10 points each, name this autoimmune disease that presents with a butterfly-shaped facial rash. However, its name is derived from a different animal. Answer?
Ebola?
This is lupus. To treat autoimmune diseases, CARs are grafted onto these CD4 and CD25 positive T cells. These immunosuppressive T cells prevent hyperactivation of helper T cells.
Antibodies?
These are Tregs. Before CAR Tregs, lupus therapies dosed the mesenchymal type of these other cells. These pluripotent cells can be extracted from embryos and will differentiate into most other cell types.
Stem cells.
That's right, for 10. Toss 5. In a story, a man proposes hunting these animals after musing on a girl's name that mixes memory and desire. A story title for these animals opens by describing a woman reading an article titled Sex is Fun or Hell while waiting for...
Banana fish.
That's right, for power. Bonus, description acceptable. For her longest running series, Anna Mendieta photographed this shape and printed into mud, dirt, and other materials. For 10 points each, give this shape, which was often drawn with a hole through it by an artist who was inspired by hieroglyphics to draw stretched and curved examples of these shapes in works like Tutomondo. Answer?
Squares.
What?
Squares.
This is the human body. In a silhouette produced in Iowa, Mendieta wrapped herself in cloth to resemble one of these artifacts. In the 19th century, these artifacts were ground into a brown paint after being imported from Egyptian excavations.
Mummy, right? Yeah. Mummy.
That's right. This other artist asked models to cover themselves in paint and lay on a canvas for his anthropometry series. This French artist became obsessed with the namesake international shade of blue. Answer?
Mondrian.
This is Eve's Climb, 10 points. Toss up 6. The Jomini end quench test measures how much this property can be increased. This property is locally increased by precipitating nitrides at a metal surface. The strain-induced increase in this property is balanced by a loss of cross-sectional area when a material first necks. A meterncitic transformation boosts this property by hundreds of Brunel. Work increases by this property by rearranging a metal's dislocations. Annealing decreases this property and increases ductility. Alloying iron to steel doubles this property as estimated by the yield stress in an indentation test. Scratch tests compare this property to minerals like quartz and talc. For 10 points,
Hardness.
that's right for 10. Bonus, Herodotus recorded how these peoples class of in Ere were androgynous shamans affected by impotence as a result of excessive horse riding. For 10 points each, name this nomadic people who dominated the Pontic steppe during classical Greece. Under Queen Tamaris, their Mazagete subgroup killed Cyrus the Great.
Scythians?
Yes. Androgynous priests known as Galli facilitated the worship of this Roman cult deity. Priests bathed in bull's blood honor this mother goddess, whose cult became popular during the Second Punic War.
Wait, Yeah.
Answer?
Mithras.
This is Sibylle. Shortly before his exile to the Black Sea, this Roman poet described the androgynous hermaphroditus in his Metamorphosis.
Ovid.
That's right for 20. Toss up 7. In 2021, this city gave Jane Gilbert the first in the nation title of Chief Heat Officer. Phrases such as "get down from the car" exemplify a newly emerging English dialect name for this city. Each October, this American city's Art Week is anchored by Art Basel. Officials in the city rejected a 20-foot-high seawall that would have run past its Brickfell financial district and was proposed after Hurricane.
Mommy.
That's right for 10. Just Miss Power. Bonus, PEP 484 adds hints for this property to Python that allows for its static assignment following a colon or an arrow. For 10 points each, name this property that is assigned dynamically in Python. Python implements a lenient scheme for this property that is named for ducks.
Like. Assigned. Like
Answer?
data types.
What?
Like data types.
I do not have that. I just have type and some other things. These static code analysis tools can check for typing issues in source code that would be caught by strict compilers. These programs are named for a metaphor about cleaning clothes.
Yeah.
Cleaning clothes, what?
Answer?
Debugger.
What?
Debugger.
These are lints or linters. Hungarian notation includes the type in the name of functions in these things, which can be declared with the line of code int x semicolon. In general, these things are contrasted with constants.
Variables.
Variables. Yeah. Variables.
That's right for 10. Note to players, description acceptable. Like the acolyte, this action's performer was dubbed a ministry instead of a minor order by the apostolic letter Ministeria Quaedam after Vatican II. Years A, B, and C refer to Matthew, Mark, and Luke during this action's 3-year cycle. The responsorial psalm is sung between 2 instances of this action.
Reading from the Bible.
That is right for power. Bonus, this character ends her exile in France after a confrontation with her childhood friend Basie, in which he criticized her for not knowing his real name. For 10 points each, name this character who gets caught up in a 1976 uprising while working as a physiotherapist in Soweto.
Dr. Zhivago.
It's Rosa. Berger's Daughter is by this 1991 Nobel Prize-winning South African author of July's People.
Gordimer.
That's right. In this Gordimer novel, the rich businessman Mering begins to feel haunted after Jacobus finds the body of an unknown man on his farm, which the farm workers later give a proper burial. Answer? This is the conservationist, 10 points. Toss 9. This modern-day country contains a fractally designed wall that may be the world's largest man-made earthwork structure. In this country, an archaeologist observed a farmer using a knock terracotta head as a scarecrow. The influence of the Oni of Ile-Ife in this country was eclipsed by the Oyo Empire. In this country, the city...
Nigeria.
Say it again?
Nigeria.
That's right.
Nice.
Power... Bonus, it's not the MPS, but this agency maintains 8 times more mileage of road than the interstate highway system. For 10 points each, name this agency, whose namesake highways are usually marked with brown signs and a white border. It is also responsible for managing 20 national grasslands.
Oh, like National Park Service. Yeah, National Park Service.
This is the U.S. Forest Service.
Wait, this was
The Forest Service still operates a few lookout towers for spotting these events. Houses built in the wildland-urban interface are particularly vulnerable to these natural disasters.
Okay. Wildfires.
Yes.
Nice.
USFS administers Admiralty Island National Monument within the large Tongass National Forest in this state's southeast, which includes cities like Ketchikan.
What was the city called? Wait, where?
Southeast.
Answer?
Tennessee?
Passing.
This is Alaska, 10 points.
Wait,
Alright, Tuspin. This character orders a man to eclipse himself by the time he claps 3 times. The real-life inspiration for this character wrote about meeting a race with a musical language on the moon in his novel The Other World. That man's supposed death from a falling beam was fictionalized as this character's death after visiting a convent. During a duel, this character delivers a ballad that repeats "thrust home." This
0 to Bergerac.
has power.
0 to Bergerac.
Bonus for DCC. The quarter comma mean tone type of these systems creates a dissonant wolf interval. For 10 points each, name these tuning systems. The most popular one of these systems used today tames the wolf by dividing an octave into 12 equally spaced intervals.
Metronome.
No, this is a temperament. This composer developed his namesake temperament for the harpsichord. He also wrote a treatise on harmony and the opera Les Andes Goulantes.
No answer.
As Rameau. Temperaments are also crucial to this family of fretted plucked instruments that include the mandolin. The Renaissance composer John Dowland primarily wrote for these instruments, which have a pear-shaped body and a rounded back.
Guitar.
So lute, no points there, and that is the half. So at the half, it's a close game. We have DCCC with 120 and Stevenson A with 140. All right, is everyone ready for the second half?
Yep.
All right, here we go, toss 11. This architect's book, Autobiography of an Idea, ends with a description of a series of concentric arches called the Golden Door. A tripartite building now named for this architect was the first to feature large windows flanked by double-hung windows and a rounded cast iron...
Sariman.
Say it again?
Sariman.
What?
Sariman.
No.
No, it's not.
A rounded cast iron entrance. This architect frequently used Syrian arches in entwined Celtic patterns, the latter of which appears interlaced with bull's eyes windows on a brewery office building. Buffalo's Guarantee Building uses terracotta to replace the brick that Dankmar Adler and this architect used for a steel frame skyscraper. Frank Lloyd Wright was an apprentice under, for 10 points, what architect of the Wainwright Building who used the mantra form follows function?
Sullivan.
That's right for 10.
Good job.
Bonus, Richard Bullitt explores why this technology declined in use in the Middle East in a book titled For It and the Camel. For 10 points each, name this technology that was independently invented in Mesoamerica, but only used for toys. A well-preserved example of this technology was found in the La Llana marshes in 2002.
Wheels.
Yes. The wheel likely developed in the later stage of this archaeological period, whose name translates to new stone.
Neolithic.
An early depiction of wheeled vehicles appears on one of these objects from Bronat Sitsa, dated to the 3rd millennium BCE. The ancient Greeks painted mythological scenes onto examples of these objects known as crater.
Vases. Vases.
That's right for all 30. Toast 12. The acronym ESCAPE lists species that exhibit this trait by expressing genes like MCR1 or a metalloenzyme named for New Delhi. BioBricks vectors are labeled A, C, K, or T based on the type of this trait they encode. In a 2016 time-lapse video, Michael Baim tracked the emergence of this trait caused by mutations to DNA Q across a meter-wide agar plate. This trait, encoded by genes like BLA or TET-M, is spread between populations by horizontal gene transfer. This trait can be encoded by enzymes that degrade beta-lactams or pump out fluoroquinolones. Hospitals-acquired infections are often caused by bacteria with this trait, like MRSA.
Resistant to antibiotics.
That's right, yes.
I know they're not good. People do not like babies.
10 points. Bonus. In the Kojiki, a maiden stabs herself in the groin with a shuttle after a horse with this trait startles her. For 10 points each, give this trait of a dead piebald horse that Susanoo drops through the roof of a weaving hall, causing his sister to flee into a cave. In Aztec lore, Xipe Totec inflicts this trait upon himself to give maize to humanity.
Like flayed.
Yes. Susanoo startles this kami of the sun, his sister, when he drops the flayed horse.
Amaterasu.
Yes. Susanoo trolled his sister after they created 8 deities by performing this action on a sword and necklace. An early type of sake was brewed by virgins performing this action with rice at Shinto shrines.
Dancing.
They were chewing. That's 20 points.
Wait, was that 10 or
20 points.
Okay.
Toss 13. For 211 years, the only version of this play performed was a David Garrick adaptation with a balcony for a pedant. This play's events are imagined as the best dream that ever I had in my life by a drunkard who is dressed in noble clothes. A discussion of falconry appears in this play in the same act that a woman explains that she was bedazzled with the sun when she mistook Vicentio for a maid. Fie, unknit that threatening, unkind brow opens this play's last speech, which is responded to with the phrase, "Come on and kiss me."
Yeah. Taming the Shrew.
That's right, 410. Bonus for DCC. A character managed to win an election for a position of this name after giving a rousing speech that denounces the passivity of Gregory's speech. For 10 points each, in a 1908 novel, Gabriel Syme is elected to what title position in an anarchist group, which he learns is actually full of undercover agents?
I don't know. Chairman. Is it chairman?
This is Thursday. The prisoner Friday is rescued and saved from cannibals before being converted to Christianity by the title character of this novel by Daniel Defoe.
Robinson Crusoe.
The novel Saturday, which follows one day in the life of the neurosurgeon Harry Perrone, is by this author who wrote about Brioni Talus in Atonement.
I don't. So, I don't know. Ross?
Answer?
Ross.
This is Ian McEwen, 10 points. Plus 14. Composer and type of piece required. The composer of these orchestral pieces cheekily suggested 7 recipes for writing them, such as avoiding it altogether or plagiarizing yourself, like when he twice copied from Aureliano in Palmyra. One of these pieces from 1816 features the 8th note phrase, 3 pickup Bs, then C, B, and its composer's namesake crescendo. After a storm is depicted in one of these pieces, the English horn and flute play a Ranz des Vaches. The most frequently excerpted section from The Thieving Magpie is one of these works, as is one that ends with a lively march of the Swiss soldiers, often used to depict galloping horses. For 10 points, name these orchestral pieces that open William Tell and the Barber of Seville.
Overtures by Rossini.
That's right, for 10. Bonus, chemical potential only depends on the activity of ions that are denoted by this 2-letter abbreviation. For 10 points each, name this parenthetical 2-letter notation used in chemical reaction formulas to indicate ions that are hydrated.
H minus.
It's AQ. In the simplest double displacement reaction, 2 aqueous ions react and undergo this process, forming a solid product that drops out of solution.
Precipitating?
What?
Precipitating?
Yes. When hydrated ions are slowly frozen, the ice crystallizes around the salts to form these host-guest complexes. According to a once popular, now mostly debunked theory, frozen methane that's released from these complexes could lead to runaway climate change. Answer?
Glaciers?
These are clathrates. 10 points. Toss 15. Austria's dapper Joe Farron ran chorus lines in this city during an era where the rich patronized the Art Deco Paramount nightclub on Bubbling Well Road. This city was where the January storm that purged the 4 olds took place and names a 1972 communique where the Nixon administration acknowledged claims on Taiwan. The Pudong New area in the city benefited from the creation.
Shanghai.
That's right for 10.
Oh, so they just put on.
Bonus. Terry Lyne Carrington compiled 101 new songs of this type as part of her work at Berkeley's Jazz and Gender Institute. For 10 points each, name this loose group of songs considered part of a jazz musician's repertoire. The Real Book codified many of these songs, examples of which include Stardust and Body and Soul.
What?
Answer?
Waltzes.
What?
Waltzes.
These are jazz standards. This musician's song Blue Nile is included in New Standards. This musician recorded Journey in Sachi Da Nada and later recorded spiritual music on albums like Kirtan Turiya Sings.
Coltrane.
Prompt.
It's not the one.
This is Alice Coltrane.
Yeah.
New Standards also includes Pisces by Mary Lou Williams, who played this instrument alongside her contemporary Herbie Hancock. Answer?
Clear that.
It's piano to points there.
Time, please.
Okay.
And score set.
Sure. So going into toss-up 16 is DCC 230, Stevenson 150. Okay. We all ready for toss-up 16?
If you have a good idea.
All right, toss-up 16. These objects name natural transformations from a constant diagram to a diagram of the same shape, universal examples of which are category theoretic limits. Vector space subsets that are closed under positive scalar multiplication are named for these objects. In the standard parameterization of these objects, replacing the equation z equals r with z equals theta instead yields a helicoid. Excesses and defects are derived from these objects in the best-known work by Apollonius of Perga. Slicing a double one of these objects with a plane yields hyperbolas and parabolas as namesake sections. For 10 points, name.
Cones.
That's right, yes. Cones. Bonus. This type of change is Higgs neutral if it improves capital and labor equally. For 10 points each, name or describe this type of change. In the solo growth model, economies converge to a steady state unless this type of change occurs, causing a permanent increase in productivity.
Technological advancement. Technological advancement. Sure. Technological advancement.
Yes, that's fine. The solo model assumes this property in which additional factors of production past an optimal point will result in smaller marginal increases in output.
Pareto optimum. Pareto optimum.
As diminishing returns. In the solo model, the income levels of poorer countries converge towards those of richer countries if the rate of this process is high. In microeconomics, consumers either spend their income or do this with it.
Save.
Okay, see.
Save.
That's right for 20.
Nice.
Club 17. This author completed an English translation of the spiritualist Kabir that celebrates how God is within us. The speaker of a poem by this author does not know how to answer questions about the meanings of songs as you sit there smiling. The conclusion of a collection by this author asks for all his songs to gather into a single current and flow to a sea of silence. The speaker of a poem by this author searches for a place where knowledge is free and where the mind is without fear. A ruler of the minds of all people is praised in an anthem by this author, who opened a 1910 poetry collection with the declaration, "Thou hast made me endless, such is thy pleasure." Heard by Samus.
Tagore.
That's right for 10. Bonus, answer the following about the New York merchant humorously named Preserved Fish for 10 points each. Fish's fortune arose from dominating the sale of this good, which was boiled out in dry pots from a source material collected in Flensing. Answer?
Starch.
This is whale oil. Fish claims he would run around in his nightshirt if this party won. Leaders of this party's conscious faction helped create a new party that replaced it in the third party system.
Go.
Wigs. That's right. Fish was an early trader on the New York Stock Exchange, which developed on this street emblematic of Manhattan's financial district.
Wall Street.
That's right for 20. Toss-up 18. The Great Pumpkin Objection attacks a position named for this field that was co-developed by William Alston. Linda Zagzebski developed a neo-Aristotelian view in this field inspired by Ernest Sosa's The Raft and the Pyramid. Alvin Plantinga's reformed variant of this field holds certain claims to be properly basic. Susan Hack,
Epistemology.
that is right for power. Bonus, answer the following about the poetry magazine Yugen for 10 points each. Starting in 1958, Yugen was published work by authors from this literary movement, which included Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg.
Beat.
Yes. Yugen's first edition included a Ginsberg poem titled For Hitchhiking on This Island, which at various times was home to Ernest Hemingway and Elizabeth Bishop. The line, "She sang beyond the genius of the sea," opens a poem titled For This Island.
Key West.
That's right. Yugen was edited by Hetty Cohen and this other poet to whom she was married. After moving away from beat poetry, this poet wrote the play Dutchman. Answer?
Ferlinghetti.
What?
Ferlinghetti.
This is Amiri Baraka, 20 points. Toss-up 19. A man with this surname names a town where Stonewall Jackson's forces killed Colonel Dixon S. Miles before capturing a Union garrison in September 1862. Brothers with this surname founded a publication that originally published The Brains and other cartoons by Thomas Nast. George Washington's grandnephew Lewis was taken hostage in a town named for this surname in an incident resolved by troops under Robert E. Lee. That town named for a person with this surname housed the second ever U.S. Armory, a facility captured...
Hopper.
Say it again?
Harper.
Yes, that's right.
Nice.
For 10. And bonus for Stevenson, the Smith chart is normalized with respect to the reference value of this quantity. For 10 points each, name this quantity whose matching is visualized on Smith's charts. This quantity equals electrical resistance plus reactance times the imaginary unit J.
Inductance.
Say it again?
Inductance.
No, sorry, this is impedance. Just move the door closer. In the Smith chart, the paths between points of equal resistance have this shape. A connected portion of the circumference of a circle has this shape.
What? Oh, what? Connected what?
Answer?
Semicircle.
Semicircle?
It's an arc.
What?
The distance from the center of the Smith chart equals the magnitude of this quantity. This quantity, which measures an interruption to transmission, equals the difference between load and reference impedances over their sum.
Inductance.
Answer?
Inductance.
This is reflection coefficient.
Okay.
Yes. There was 0 points, yes. So we are going into toss of 20, and it is currently DCC 260, Stevenson 230. All right, is everyone ready for...
Oh, wait. Sorry. Oh, yeah, we're good. Sorry.
Okay, all right, so last toss up, DCC 260, Stevenson 230, and here's toss of 20. A 2016 exhibition of this artist's vision of genius at the Nor Brabants Museum authenticated a depiction of St. Anthony separated from a funnel by a river. The burning of this artist's hometown may have inspired several blackened buildings in the background of his paintings. This artist depicted a man dropping coins into a chest as a skeleton pokes through a door and points a silver arrow at a man in a bed. Jean Murau's The Tilled Field was inspired by a painting by this artist in which birds appear gifting strawberries. This artist may have depicted himself as a pale white tree man who appears...
Bosch?
It is Bosch. That's 10 points. And your bonus. Melik Taus repented his refusal to perform this action by using his tears to quench hell for 7,000 years. For 10 points each, name this action. Yazidis are accused of devil worship because the peacock angel's refusal to perform this action out of loyalty to God resembles Iblis's refusal to perform it out of pride.
Huh?
Answer?
Like follow Satan.
No, this is bowing before Adam. Melik Taus refuses to bow before Adam, who is created from this substance. Genesis chapter 3 states, "For you are this substance, and to this substance you shall return."
What?
Answer?
Light.
Dust. Due to Melik Taus's devil-like actions, Islamic law does not regard the Yazidis as these people. This term refers to non-Muslims like Christians and Jews who were inspired by previous revelations. Answer?
Heathens.
These are people of the book. No points there, and that is the end of the game. So the final score is DCCC 260, Stevenson A 240. Game everyone.
Good game.